New product from Core Essentials today, and this is their new tactical nylon gun belt, which is right here, and I will get back to this in just a minute. For a while, I've been wearing the Core leather gun belts, and these belts are dressy enough to be worn as a regular belt, but stiff enough with their reinforced poly core that you can carry a gun on them, no problem. And you can see over here where my holster goes on and off, really not much wear at all. So these things have been holding up really well. Also for a while, in lieu of this belt, I've been wearing, we'll get this out of the way here, my Next Belt nylon gun belt, as it were. And Next Belt, it's a good belt. You can check out my video on it. But Core wanted to take this style belt and improve on it a little bit. The Next Belt is just 2 layers of nylon webbing, and it's stiff enough. But Core wanted to take their poly core technology and improve and make a stiffer gun belt with the nylon webbing style. And that is what they've done right here. If you're not familiar with these belts, let me just show you before I get into the belt itself. The way these belts work is it's the ratcheting style. So right here, there is this ratcheting mechanism. The belt feeds through, and then the mechanism right here, it just ratchets. So the belt is infinitely adjustable in 1/4 inch increments. And the way these belts come is they come sized for as big as a 54-inch waist. They come uncut, and all you do is you pick your waist size and then you add a couple inches. You can read the directions here from Core. They recommend taking your waist size and adding 4 inches. I think that depends on if you're going to carry inside the waistband or outside the waistband. For me, I carry outside the waistband, and adding an extra 4 inches is a little bit too much. I don't like it. Also depends on how much tail you like, because there's no keeper for the belt. So if you have too much sticking out here, depending on how your belt loops are, it can get a little bit floppy. So depending on, again, how much tail you like, these also open just by pressing this little piece here, and it just slides right out. So size them accordingly. For me, I carry outside the waistband, and 2 inches is plenty generous, but cut it big initially. That way you can always go smaller if need be, but obviously once it's cut, you can't make it bigger. So on the inside here, I'll show you, they have size markings for your waist size. Make it easy, so all you need to do is find your waist size. For me, I'm a 32 right here. I'm going to add 2 inches and cut it at 34, real time here. 33, 34. Now these things are not easy to cut, so definitely get a good pair of scissors. Because of that core, they're pretty darn stiff. There we go. To show you how this belt's made, on the outside here, there is that nylon webbing. On the inside, there is what they call super fiber, and this is, it's not rubber, but it has sort of a rubbery texture to it. It's water resistant, so it's not going to absorb moisture. And then in here, you can see there are the several layers. Super fiber here, the nylon on the outside, and then you can see that poly core, and the other piece I'm not sure what that's made of, but that makes this really very stiff as far as that goes. So now, once you get it cut, there are several buckle options, 3 of them. This is the one that I picked. Here's another one, and then there's the 3rd option that I don't have. And all you do is you open this up, feed the belt into it. It's got some teeth right here that are going to sink and bite into that belt. Feed it in, close it. It's firm, there we go. And there it is. And that is not going anywhere, not even remotely going anywhere. I got mine a little bit at an angle. So when you put it in, just be careful with it. You might need to redo it a little bit. Just make sure you get it in there nice and straight. Make sure you cut it nice and even. For me, I cut mine a little bit uneven. So I trimmed it up, made it a little bit straighter. Give it another try. You can kind of eyeball it, and then There we go. And much better. All right, so now that I've got the belt sized, feed it through here. Of note, here's a small thing when you're deciding on buckles. This buckle, because there's not fully sort of a piece to guide it through, like this buckle helps guide the belt through a little bit easier compared to this buckle where there's nothing guiding the piece down. So it will tend to pop up just a little bit, and sometimes you have to just push it down a little bit to get it through. It's a small thing, but there's a little bit of a difference between the buckles. So there it is together. It's a nice look to it. And just as a color comparison, if you're wondering about this compared to the next belt, they are a little bit different colors. You can see the next belt is a little bit yellower, a little more flat dark earth versus this being more of a tan. These belts come in two colors. They come in this tan, and then they also come in a black. They retail for $59.95, and you can get them on the Core Essentials website. I'll put a link down below. I'm gonna wear this for a while, give it a try, and I will be back after I've had some time to give it a shot. Let me give you some impressions now that I've been wearing this for a week. As a side note, before I get into the belt, these optional belt hangers that you can get with it are a nice, fantastic little addition. This is how I hang my Core dress belts in my closet. They just feed right into here, and it keeps them nice and hung, nice and out of the way. Nice little, just a couple $1 option from Core. Check one of those out. But onto the belt itself. This belt, I would say the biggest thing that I noticed with it, it is definitely a lot stiffer compared to something like the next belt. And just to give you an idea, holding it up here, here's the next belt. You can kind of see just how much more stiff that is, just how far it hangs out. The next belt, which is just all nylon, is definitely a lot more pliable. The torsional rigidity is definitely not there as much as compared to the Core, which definitely has a lot more torsional rigidity and just overall feels like a much more substantial, much stiffer belt. Putting it on, you can definitely feel that as well. That stiffness, it's either a good thing or it's a bad thing. Bad maybe is not the right word, but just kind of depending on your needs. If you need a little more substantial belt, if you want something that's going to be a little bit more comfortable carrying a little bit more weight, I think it's a nice option. If you want something that might be a little bit more pliable, maybe a little bit more comfortable, I would say something a little bit more flexible might be a good option. On something like this, with this buckle, you just need to push it down and feed it through yourself a little bit more. Not a big deal. It's just something to think about when you're picking out your buckle style. This one I would say is just a hint easier. Again, it's a small thing, but a hint easier to put on just because it's sort of a closed buckle, unlike this one. So you get it on, and here it is on me. Now the belt is stiff. When I put it on, I have a 32-inch waist. I sized the belt for a 34-inch length, and I have probably 2.5 inches that sticks out over here. And it sticks out a good, I don't know if you can see, a good inch or so off the side of my waist. And I found that when I had a covering garment on for concealed carry, when I went to lift that up out of the way, the corner of that shirt would always get stuck on the corner of the belt here as I was trying to lift it up out of the way. So I would probably size this belt a little bit shorter for me. Again, it depends on how you're wearing it, such that this was back inside that buckle just to simulate that. Something more like that. That way when I'm lifting my shirt up out of the way, it's not getting stuck. A nice addition would be something like a little piece of elastic like this that I got off of one of my other belts. And this would be, it's just a keeper that gets right on there. It's not even fixed to it. Fixed would be nice, but it'd be hard to do because of the way you're sizing it. So just a little piece of elastic like this, because this belt is so stiff and because this sticks out some, would be a nice addition for them to include. Just a thought there. With it on, comfort-wise, you can definitely feel that it feels a little bit stiffer compared to something like the next belt. It's definitely a lot more substantial of a belt. And when you're going to put stuff on it, the stuff is definitely not going anywhere. Carries my gun, carries anything else I've tried putting on it with no problems. And moving the stuff out of the way, getting it on, getting it off, drawing the gun. Again, it's very stable. So again, it just kind of depends on your needs. I'd say this is a definitely much more substantial belt. It's much stiffer. So it's a nice option if you want to carry a little bit more. If you just want a more sturdy belt, there's definitely, I would say, kind of a step up in quality, the way it feels compared to something like this that's just all nylon. So check this one out. Another great belt from Core, their new tactical belt.